You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Well, folks, like you are well aware of by now, I was out in Atlanta, Georgia this last weekend. Actually, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 5 fantastic days. It was part vacation, part work, and all fun, let me tell you. First of all, on Thursday, we went to the state capitol in Atlanta, and that's the statue and the dome there behind me, you can see. We went to the state capitol in Atlanta for a Cannabis Awareness Day. We were joined by Adrian Bernal. He's with the Caravan for Peace and Handkerchiefs for Peace projects. Also, it warmed my heart to know he's on what is apparently the only AM talk radio progressive station all in Spanish progressive talk radio station. So he was there with the Caravan for Peace, and they lay out these handkerchiefs along the wall. Each handkerchief represents the death or deaths of people in Mexico from the drug war. They're all embroidered, and that was just a very solemn, stunning sight to see. We'll have some pictures uploaded soon enough. Also, we had the cannabis quilt from Moms for Marijuana laid out. It was originally 18 foot by 24 foot, but I think it's bigger than that now. It's quite a bit bigger. And you'll see in some of the video, you'll see some of the panels. They got panels for all 50 states, also starting a new unity quilt for supporters of marijuana reform that we need to get a quilt built. Anybody out there in the 420 radio listening audience knows how to sew? If you could make us a 420 radio or Russ Belville show quilt piece that has our website and our logo on it, it's about... What was the dimensions? Well, Georgia Mom can tell you. I think it's 2.5 by 2.5. Anyway, we'll do that later, but it was just a beautiful display out there at the Capitol. Gorgeous sunny day, blue skies, not a cloud in the sky, and 3 major news networks showing up to film it. We had ABC, CBS, and Fox all there. Now, ABC and CBS put their videos up. I could not find one from Fox, but let me play the first one for you to show you what an amazing success this was. Not only just the earned media coverage, but the event itself on Friday and Saturday, the conference that we had, Southern Cannabis Reform Conference. Diane Goldstein was there from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Sabrina Fendrick from Normal Women's Alliance. Jamie Haas from LEAP was there. So many people, and we'll have plenty of their presentations and speeches throughout the rest of this week. But for now, let me get to this Atlanta Channel 2 ABC News featuring James Bell and Sharon Ravert, Georgia activists.
The push is on to legalize marijuana in Georgia. Several different groups who are part of a nationwide movement spent time at the Georgia Capitol today trying to convince lawmakers. Channel 2's Lori Geary joins us live from the state capitol, where members of this movement declare it Cannabis Day here in Georgia. Lori.
That's right, Jovita. Several supporters here say that smoking a joint is like drinking a glass of wine. And they say if you legalize the drug in Georgia, you'd free up a lot of prison beds for hardened criminals and bring some much needed relief to those suffering with painful diseases.
We believe the time is right. We believe time is now to start looking at the marijuana issue and come up with some solution other than putting people in prison for smoking a joint.
We caught up with James Bell in the hallways of the state capitol as he lobbied lawmakers to medicalize and decriminalize marijuana. He admits it's a tough fight in a conservative state like Georgia.
It is a sort of a taboo issue for many lawmakers, and but we're trying to break the ice.
We are advocates for protecting our children.
The group Moms for Marijuana displayed a so-called cannabis quilt. Member Sharon Ravert says her 19-year-old daughter was arrested after drug agents searched her home for 3.5 hours and found 1.5 grams of pot.
2 years and all kinds of, lawyers, and $15,000 later, we have spent all of the money that we have saved for her to go to college. We have to look at the cost of those children that may not ever get a job. It stays with you forever.
People that use marijuana tend to be, relaxed and mellow and don't cause a lot of problems.
Russ Belville, who calls himself the voice of the marijuana nation and has his own radio talk show, says 18 states recognize the medicinal benefits of the drug for folks who suffer from diseases like cancer and glaucoma. He says says Georgia patients are not being offered the best treatments for pain management.
Marijuana is non-toxic. You cannot overdose from it, and it's far, far less dependence-causing than something like OxyContin. It should be the first thing that people with serious illnesses are given a chance to try.
But it appears Georgia is not ready for legalized pot anytime soon. James Bell told me that 2 lawmakers promised him a study committee on this issue, but that bill has yet to be filed this session. He wouldn't tell me the names of those 2 lawmakers because he says it's such a sensitive issue. Reporting live from the state capitol, Lori Geary, Channel 2 Action News.
More details now. 18 states and Washington, D.C. have enacted laws to legalize medical marijuana. Among the most recent states to do this, Connecticut and Massachusetts just last year.
Yeah, those marijuana stories trip me up sometimes, too. This is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best news coverages of a press conference for a marijuana group I've ever seen. You had Georgia Care with James Bell in the legislature, in the halls, looking sharp, speaking intelligently to it. You got Sharon Ravert from Georgia Moms for Marijuana, from Peachtree Normal, out there representing and bringing the human face to it, the heart and soul of the issue. And if I may, toot my own horn, I have rarely exhibited such a monster soundbite on TV as that one that I just had. I patting myself on the back on that one. That was one of my favorites of all time. There was another news story there. The CBS News was there as well. Let's see if we can get that video for you from CBS Atlanta. And I'm not sure if it's got an ad. So yeah, it's got one of those March Madness ads. So I gotta pause that first, but we'll bring you that. This one features Diane Goldstein from LEAP, who is another phenomenal speaker and got some fantastic sound bites in with this activist or this reporter. Check it out.
There's a new message coming from the state capitol: decriminalize marijuana. Today, supporters of legalizing the drug say National Cannabis Awareness Day is the perfect time for lawmakers to look at alternative ways of regulating marijuana. CBS Atlanta's Craig Bell talked with supporters. So, Craig, what do these lawmakers have to say about this push?
Well, Jaquetta, at this point, very little. I've talked to lawmakers all day, but no one wanted to go on record to tackle the subject. One lawmaker telling me off camera that, in truth, that this is really not on anyone's radar. But the opposite should be true, according to people who are pushing this pot. It would appear that almost every day that police in Georgia are busting people for growing, selling, or smoking marijuana.
It's time to move forward.
Retired California Police Lieutenant Diana Goldstein represents law enforcement against prohibition and says it's time for Georgia to take a different approach to its war on drugs.
It takes away critical resources that could be better used for infrastructure, education, job creation, things that actually would change our communities for the better.
Goldstein spent 20-plus years of her police career enforcing the very laws she is now fighting.
It's the most expensive whack-a-mole game in law enforcement.
Goldstein tells me she isn't surprised that lawmakers aren't standing in line to weigh in on this controversy.
What they're concerned with is being reelected. What they fear is that their constituents don't believe as they do.
The state of Georgia was one of the first in the nation to enact a medical marijuana bill in 1980.
James Bell is with Georgia Care, a group that wants to tweak and in some cases abolish state laws to protect cannabis users. Bell has lobbied conservatives and liberals on the issue and believes the political will exists to reform state laws, but only if the push to legalize is taken in small steps.
And so what we want to do is have a study committee to study what we can do in Georgia concerning medical marijuana. 18 states in this nation have legalized for medical use.
Now, supporters of the pod tell me that almost 1 million people in the state of Georgia use marijuana every year, and they tell me that sooner or later that lawmakers will have to deal with this issue. Reporting live downtown at the state capitol tonight, Craig Bell, CBS Atlanta News.
It's nice to know that we're supporters of the pot now. But yes, supporters of the pot, we do have a serious problem with that. But that was the news in Atlanta. And what was really nice about this is it was shoehorned around another story that was going down in Atlanta, Georgia at just around the same time. The ABC News channel ran this story. And let me see if I can pull this up for you, of a person being framed here for
the man
marijuana.
being arrested in this surveillance video claims an officer planted drugs on him. The suspect says the video proves he's innocent. And now late this afternoon, we received word that the charges are being dropped only hours after Channel 2 Action News started asking some questions. But the DeKalb County Solicitor General says dismissing the case has nothing to do with the video. And new at 6, Channel 2's Tom Jones live at the DeKalb County Courthouse with the reason the charges are being dropped. Tom.
Well, Justin, this case was on the trial calendar tomorrow, but the solicitor's office called me and said the charges will be dismissed because the alleged marijuana can't be located.
Whoops!
The defendant's attorney thinks this video is why he no longer faces jail time.
And you see him pitch something behind me.
Alfonso Ellaby says this surveillance video shows a DeKalb County police officer planting marijuana on him. We've spotlighted where Ellaby says the officer threw the drugs down.
And then he stands up and he yells, "Look what you tried to throw."
Ellaby says his nightmare began when he stopped to speak to someone who was sitting in this black SUV. He says an officer arrived and arrested the driver for drugs.
I was searched twice.
Ellaby says no drugs were found on him and he was told to sit down. A female officer stood guard over him for several minutes. His attorney says you then see the officer call her over to the truck and he circles back.
I was shocked.
Sylvia Waters says you see the officer plant the drugs, pick them up, and reposition them. Waters says in the police report, the officer says he saw Ellaby throw the drugs down.
It didn't happen. It simply just did not happen.
I called the DeKalb County Solicitor's office about the allegations. They wouldn't discuss the video, but said the charges would be dismissed because police couldn't locate the marijuana. Another one of Ellaby's attorneys thinks the video is why the case is being dismissed.
Well, you think. So there you go. That's some news from Atlanta. And to have our press conference and our coverage of marijuana legalization happening at the same time as that story, and another huge story of about 10 different Atlanta cops indicted on corruption charges, selling and bribing and offering to kill people. Oh, my God. We're going to win in the South, people.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
That's all the time we got, but take my word for it, the South will blaze again. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining it. The 420 drug test is coming up next, right here in Hour 2. Stay tuned. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.